NBA's unwritten rules that exist. Coming up, we will show some rules that exist in the NBA. However, no whistle is going to be blown, no technical given, and no one will shoot free throws. These are unwritten rules. The NBA may not have them in their rulebook, but you better believe the players will enforce them. Sometimes that enforcement can lead to altercations and full-on fights. Some would argue the unwritten rules are sacred and breaking one is worse than breaking a rule that referees enforce. This was indeed the case when an unwritten rule was broken more than 15 years ago when the biggest fight in the league's history happened. We will dive, or should we say swing into that one in a bit, but let's discuss a few others first. As always, at the end of the video, please like, comment, and of course, subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this one. Don't take a shot with a game in hand. This rule is pretty straightforward but will get an opponent's blood boiling if broken. Once the game is in hand, don't showboat and certainly don't jack up a three. It's simple. Your team has already won. The opponent is already embarrassed by losing. Throwing up a three-pointer is rubbing it in. Doing so will not sit well with the opposition. This was indeed the case in Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. In this game, the Golden State Warriors had compiled an insurmountable lead and were cruising to a crucial victory. The game was in hand. Just seconds remained, but with the shot clock expiring, Sean Livingston decided to take a shot anyways. The Cleveland Cavaliers weren't happy, and Tristan Thompson contested the shot with force. This led to Thompson being thrown out of the game and both teams jawing at each other in the post-game press conferences. This is just one of the many examples of an altercation stemming from a late, pointless shot. Protect an airborne player. This unwritten rule is in place for one reason: to protect the player who can't protect themselves. When a player goes airborne, he needs a landing space to come down. Once airborne, the player is defenseless and at the mercy of the opponent to not undercut them. An undercut is extremely dangerous. It will lead the airborne player either flipping head first towards the ground or not having a flat landing, leading to an ankle injury. Sometimes, players are undercut by accident. It is bound to happen from time to time, as players can't be aware of all players at all times. The key is intent. If a player had the ability to avoid undercutting an opponent who is airborne but does not give up the position, the opponents are going to react. Serious injuries have happened due to an undercut, and at the very least, opponents will get in the face of the guilty player. The Jordan rules still exist for today's superstars. Ushered in by his airness, Michael Jordan's rise to mega superstardom was a new set of rules referees utilize that may not be in a rulebook anywhere, and the NBA may deny they exist, but the proof is on the court. Superstars are treated differently by the referees. If James Harden or LeBron James have the ball, even the slightest bit of contact is going to draw a whistle. Heck, sometimes replays show no contact at all. It merely looked like there was, and the referee anticipated contact, so he or she blew the whistle. These became known as the Jordan rules because they became prevalent specifically for him. Jordan could push off. He could charge into a defender with position. He could hook a defender to get past him. It didn't matter. The NBA is more popular if its stars are scoring. No one wants to see star players in foul trouble because of offensive fouls. Maybe the NBA doesn't specifically tell referees to do this. Maybe it's simply understood, or it's the pressure referees are reacting to, but it is undeniable that this exists and happens regularly. Late foul leads to biggest fight. Remember teasing about the biggest fight to ever happen in the NBA starting because of an unwritten rule? Well, here's what happened. Back in 2004, Ron Artest, now known as Metaphor Artest, was an emerging star with a reputation for hard fouls and physically opposing his will on opponents. He had a reputation that players were very aware of. This is part of the reason why when he broke an unwritten rule late in the Indiana Pacers game at the Detroit Pistons, a major brawl erupted. The Pacers were up big with less than a minute to go when the Pistons center Ben Wallace went up for a layup. Artest should have let him score. His team was up 15, so 2 points weren't going to matter. Instead, Artest slapped Wallace across the upper body. Wallace turned to see it was Artest and reacted. Wallace charged at Artest and shoved him hard. This caused the two teams to start fighting. It was the next step that took the altercation to a level that will never likely be seen again. As the fight was dying down and the two teams were separating, Artiste retreated to the scorer's table and laid down on it as if over it all. That's when a fan struck him with a beer that was launched from the stands. Artiste leaped into the stands after the fan and began pummeling who he thought threw it. Other players joined him. Fans began coming after the Pacers, including on the court itself. The fight led to Artiste being suspended the rest of the season and many other lengthy suspensions. It also led to all alcohol sales at NBA stadiums having to stop prior to the start of the fourth quarter. All of that could have been avoided had Wallace just been allowed to shoot his meaningless layup.